Hey, what's going on, my fellow idiots? Welcome back to another episode of Idiot Proof Cooking. As a side note, if you're new to the channel, my name is Will, and I make simple and easy to follow recipes that I consider are idiot proof because, hey, if an idiot like me can make something, you certainly can too. And if you've seen the channel before, you know the drill. So today, my sweet tooth has been bugging me, so I wanted to do some baking and make something nice and sweet. I ended up deciding to make some scones for today's episode. I'm going to be making a sweet cranberry orange scone. They are so damn good and really easy to make, so let's get into making these. Okay, so who's ready to make some scones today? So what we're going to do first is get ourselves out a large mixing bowl, fiddle with it for some reason other than taking up time in a video. But the first thing we're going to add in is 2 cups of all-purpose flour, so pour that into the bowl. Then we're going to add in 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Next in is a teaspoon of kosher salt, and then a 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar. Into the bowl it all goes. Next, you'll want to grab your microplane zester and throw in the zest of a large navel orange. So just run it over your zester until it's completely zested, and then make sure to scrape the back part of your zester. I just said zest a lot. Anyways, give that all a good whisking together until it's combined, and then we're going to add in some butter. So I had my butter sitting in the freezer. You want it to be nice and hard, and you just want to grate in about a 1/2 cup of frozen butter into your flour mixture, and then either use like knives or a pastry blender or 2 forks like I'm doing here, and break up the butter, mixing it in with all the flour until you get little pea-sized granules of butter throughout all of the flour mixture. Set that aside for a moment and get yourself another mixing bowl, because now it's time to deal with the wet ingredients. So starting off, add in a 1/2 cup of heavy cream into your bowl. Then you're going to crack in a large egg. Oh, and there's Rose showing me her lollipop. But then after you crack in your egg, throw in a teaspoon of either vanilla paste or vanilla extract, and then just go get your trusty whisk and whisk this all together till combined. Make sure that you obviously break the yolk in your egg, but then once everything is mixed together, go get your dry ingredients back, and it's time to mix the wet and dry ingredients. So pour the wet ingredients in, make sure you get a spatula, scrape down the bowl. You want to get all of the wet ingredients in with the dry, and then we're just going to loosely mix this all together until it forms a shaggy dough. It's going to be pretty crumbly once you mix it all together, but that's what you're looking for actually. Like if you were to grab the dough and squeeze it in your hands, it's going to combine, but really it's pretty crumbly. And then once you have mixed everything together, go get yourself a cup of frozen cranberries and pour them in with your dough, and then again just lightly mix them in. The dough is pretty crumbly at this point in time, so it's not like they're going to be sticking to the dough. But there you go, that's what your scone dough, scone pastry is going to look like. Pretty crumbly, right? So we're going to pour it onto our work surface here. It's really the same consistency or a similar consistency to a pie crust at this point in time. So we're just going to carefully knead this just a little bit. You don't want to over knead it because the heat from your hands will melt the butter, and ideally you don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to knead it a little bit, form it into a circle, about 6, 7, 8 inches in diameter, like that. And then once that is done, we're going to get our bench scraper out and start cutting these into scones. So I'm going to cut out 6 scones from my pastry here, just like that, and look at that. We've got some scones ready to bake. So get yourself a parchment-lined baking sheet and slowly and carefully move these scones onto the baking sheet with like an offset spatula or a regular spatula. You might find they crumble a little bit, and if they do, just piece them back together, but move all of the scones onto your parchment-lined baking sheet. And now would be the opportune time to preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, because we're almost ready to bake these, but we're first just going to brush the scones down with a little bit of heavy cream. But once the oven is heated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, we are going to bake the scones for anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes until they come out slightly risen and nice and golden brown, looking like that. Look at those beautiful, beautiful scones. And let me tell you, they smell so good, but they are piping hot. So let them cool down for like 5-10 minutes. But here we go. Look at that. I want to give you a little close-up shot. Look at how nice, and look at that nice bottom on that. Oh my God, they came out amazing. Now I'm also going to glaze these scones just to make them a little bit sweeter. So if you want to do that too, get yourself out a 1.5 cups of powdered sugar and then some whole milk. As you can see here, in most of Canada, milk comes in bags. And then you're just going to pour in a couple of tablespoons of whole milk to your powdered sugar and whisk it all together until you get a glaze. Now I'm also going to add in a teaspoon of vanilla paste just because it's going to make it taste better. Whisk the vanilla paste in with the glaze, and there you go. You got yourself a pastry glaze. Nice and simple. Now I'm going to just spread it all over my scones. I'm not going to be sparing here. Why would you? Really, when you think about it, it's going to be nice and sweet and tasty. Now ideally what you would do too is after you glaze these, you should let them, harden up, let the glaze set a little bit, but I'm just gonna dig in. You know what? These smell amazing and it's time to eat these. I've waited long enough. So here we go, taste test time, and wow, were they good. They are so tasty, sweet. The cranberry and orange is such a complementary flavor, and the scones were sweet, and then they were even sweeter with the glaze, but the consistency of them was just perfect. So absolutely delicious. I love scones. And you know what? Here we go. Rose, the official taste tester of the channel. And there you go. And does she like it? Of course she does. Well, guys, that's it for an episode. I hope you liked what you saw here today. If you did, why don't you drop me a comment, like the video, or even subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching Indie Approved Cooking, and we'll see you again next time.